Today on the Ave Podcast, I'm introducing a podcast series that, while it's designed for my YouTube page, my South Shore Ave YouTube channel, I'm in my Biggie Small spirit right now, and I'm going to spread love on all platforms. So I've been talking about this for a while now, and now I don't have to talk about it like a pipe dream. It's for real now. I'm talking about, of course, the official R&B fantasy draft. Over the course of the next 6 Fridays, today, I'm going to be releasing each round of the draft. I'm excited for it. I'll save the breakdown of the format after the theme music kicks in, but it includes the greatest singers and R&B artists since 1980, the last 42 years. I'll break it down deeper, I promise you. But I'm joined throughout the draft by DJ Chris Nice, DJ Keo, Wukup Productions, and first-time guest of my show, the one and only Shalli, as we're going to go through round 1 of the R&B draft. Once again, it'll be out every Friday from today until November 11th, the same day, ironically, as the world premiere of the new Black Panther movie. All right, so stay locked in with me as each round is released. I appreciate you in my best DJ Khaled voice. Also, myself and the help of my guests for this draft has curated a playlist in conjunction with the launch of the draft that's going to be updated weekly every Saturday morning after the launch of each round. It's called, of course, the R&B Fantasy Draft Playlist, hashtag South Shore Ave, where we'll be sharing 2 to 3 songs from each selected artist and producers from each round. All right, the playlist is on Spotify. It's attached to the show notes, so check it out after the episode, all right? All right, so stay patient today. But seriously, I do really appreciate you, and I'm appreciating you already for tuning in and checking in. South Shore Ave is, of course, available wherever you listen to podcasts, especially on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn and Alexa, as well as Stitcher, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. All right, hit these 5 stars for me, please, for all of my love and my hard work, especially because he likes me, so it's the very best way to show me love. All right, just click on it while you listen to it. It takes about 2.7 seconds of your time. You're a great multitasker. If no one else told you before, I'm telling you now. All right, you can listen to me and click on those 5 stars. I believe in you. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show and South Shore Ave as a company, record label, and staff. And check out SouthShoreAve.com for all of my latest episodes, a deep dive into my catalog, all right? Once again, that's SouthShoreAve.com. Whether you're watching or listening to this series, seriously, feel free to hit me up in the comments, especially in the comment sections of these shows. And for the ones that know me directly, I expect you to hit me up, especially to the debate and banter. All right, I'm here for all of it. All right, so let's have a good time with this. It's the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shore Ave Radio. It's R&B.
Welcome to the Ave Podcast with Cal C on South Shore Ave Radio.
Welcome to the Ave Podcast, and welcome to the official R&B Fantasy Draft. So I'm not going to hold everybody too long. I want to get started. I think we're all excited to do this. We've already been talking trash a little bit. I'm killing Chris Nice just before we begin, just so you know, to start. But I want to, before I introduce the rules of the game, I want to introduce all of these guests here. So my first guest, I'm going to read this off just to make sure. My first guest that's selecting last in the first round. He's been a past guest on my show. You can catch his show every week on MyLime Radio, but I'll let him provide more details at the end of the show. This is my partner for the annual Sunday afternoon Carnival Barbecue Party. And he's also has almost 40 years of DJing, so he fits right into this format. All right, so please welcome DJ Chris Nice to the show. How you doing today?
Good. What up? Glad to be back, man. Out of the, what was it again? The janitor's closet again.
Yeah, you'll be going right back in. Don't worry about that. You'll be going right back in. My next guest is a first-timer on this show. She is a pop-oriented R&B singer, and she's released 14 singles, garnering millions of streams online, including multiple major playlists on Spotify. And I would like to tip your cap and raise your glass as you give a warm welcome to Shalli. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm great. How's everybody doing? Thanks for that great introduction.
No problem.
I want an autograph before the show's over.
Sure.
My next guest is a longtime DJ and music lover as well since the early 80s. You can catch his weekly show, Walk Hours, every Thursday on MyLime Radio. The owner and partner of FetNet. He also appeared on my 25th anniversary episode of Buju's classic album, Till Shiloh. And even though his roots are embedded in the soca community, he was also the co-owner of Rock and Soul, legendary record store, before I moved to Toronto, in the Malvern Mall. And he doesn't know this, but before I moved to Toronto, I had a little bit of change. And I bought 2 CDs. One I can't find, and the other one is this, if you can see it.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Method Man to Cal.
Wow.
And the other one was the Mary J and Method Man classic, All You Need to Get By, with all the singles. All the singles on there, all the remixes and everything else. So I thank you for that, for sending me back to Montreal on the 401.
Rock and soul, man.
with all that music. I still have the CDs to this day. I just can't find the other one.
That's okay.
Yes, man. So please welcome Kevin, aka Wukup Productions. How you doing today?
I'm good.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yes, sir.
pleased to be here, and you just give me back some history, man, and myself even. Time flies very quickly.
Yeah, man. You gotta give the
Rock and
flowers up.
soul.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Good
sir.
times, man. Good times.
Good times at a good time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
That was an ideal time. The 90s was a great time for music, regardless of the genre, whether it be dancehall, R&B, hip hop, classic house.
Sure.
Like that was a great decade.
Vinyl. Vinyl
Exactly.
needles. Remember that? Remember needles?
Yep. Remember record players? Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for having me.
No problem.
And,
No
I'm
problem.
definitely looking forward to this. Good seeing Chris as well. Long time Malvin crew.
No problem.
All right.
And last but certainly not least, he's been a frequent guest of my show. Most memorably, the 25th anniversary of the Fugees album, The Score. He's a DJ producer himself, and you can catch him on his YouTube channel that reviews and previews DJ equipment. It completes with interviews and the culture of DJing overall. Please welcome DJ Keo to the show. How you doing today, sir?
Yo.
Good to be back. Glad to be back. Feeling good. Feeling nice right now. It's too early to tell though, but I'm feeling good. At least we're getting it.
No blows yet.
Not yet. Soon.
Yeah.
But not yet. So I want to explain the format before we begin. So as I mentioned before, this is the R&B draft, and how it's working. It's gonna, if anybody's familiar with fantasy sports, I've kind of mixed the worlds together of sports and music. And what I've done is we're making a super group. Instead of a team, we're making a super group of all the greatest artists of the last 42 years. So basically they've had to start their career from 1980 going onward. All right. So the Marvin Gayes, the Aretha Franklins, the Quincy Jones, the Diana Rosses, the Isley Brothers, they're not allowed. They're not allowed on this. Right. So this is where it makes it a little difficult. And I love the 70s. The 70s is my favorite era of R&B music, but I have to abide by the rules today. All right. So we've so it consists of 4 artists, and it can be solo or you can pick them from a group. And in fantasy football, for the ones that actually play that, there's a thing that where at the end of it you can pick a defense. So the defense in this format is the producer. So while you have your 4 artists, this is the one that you get a chance to pick your producer to put it all together to make that classic sound for everybody that you're picking out of this list. And it can be from anybody. It can be from Luther Vandross to Normani to Jay Valentine to Casey and Joe. However you want to do it. If you want to pick Jay Valentine, I don't know. But you can. It ranges.
I want to see who pulls that one.
I want to see too. Keo.
That's like round 18. That's when Jay Valentine comes out. We're digging the barrel right there.
The only exception I've made to this list so far is that I am allowing 2 exceptions to this list because their career started in the 70s, but they were such iconic legends and their prime was destroying the 80s that I have to allow them, or else it just wouldn't be right. The first exception is Prince. The next exception is Michael Jackson. All right. So other than that, anything goes from here.
Let's see if they'll be around at number 5.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Doubt it.
I doubt it.
No.
I doubt it. And here's the master list we'll be working from here, where we're going to be basically putting everybody's name on the underneath them, so they know exactly which round they picked them from, and we're going to go from there. So it'll be the snake draft. If you can follow the arrow, it's going to go from left to right, down, right to left, and vice versa, all the way down to round 5. All right. So before we start this draft, is there any last words before we begin?
Oh, I have one last addition.
With
regard, and it has nothing to do with the draft, but you mentioned I do a soca show on Thursdays from 2 until 5 on MyLime Radio, but I also do like an old school show on Fridays on MyLime Radio as well. So that, and you'll be able to plug the hell out of it at the end of this. So we're for certain.
So no worries. I'll let you run wild on that.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So while we're here, we may as well start the draft right now. Nothing better than the present, right? You got the first pick. Who are we going with? I think I already know. But who
I
are
have
we going
the first
with?
pick. Okay. I'm just gonna do this first, and I'm just gonna add to the attire real quick. And no words are needed. Yes.
Okay. All
Fair
right.
enough.
I knew it.
Straight Prince.
Just
Right from
I knew
jump.
it.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to write it down. I knew it.
You knew that. You knew that was Chris knew that was coming. Chris knew that was coming.
Okay,
That is for sure.
but explain for the people. Explain for the people why. Give us a little education on why you're making this pick. It's pretty obvious, but
Yeah.
I want you to know from your perspective, because I think some people might be like, "What?"
Right. Based on the criteria, right? Other people may not know the history of this gentleman, this icon, this genius. So the reason I took Prince first is because he is the full package. Singer, songwriter, arranger, musician, performer, producer, extraordinaire. So I had to pick him first because one, he does all of those things, and he has definitely made a mark in all of the decades that he has released music. Also, business-wise, I believe as an artist, he has, set a pace that some artists are now catching on to, are now getting the realization that own your stuff. I don't know whether there's a PG rating or not, but own your masters.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, he was far ahead of his time in
Far
terms
ahead
of
of his time.
music, in terms of writing ability, in terms of business, and just his mindset. Truly, I mean that's not even mentioning all the things that he did behind the scenes for communities and hospitals and just people in general. So that's my first pick. That's where I stand.
And I heard he was so business minded with that if you didn't own your masters, he didn't work with you.
That's correct.
Yeah.
There are a number of stories out there that he would say, listen, if you don't own your masters, I can't work with you, one, or I'll work with you, but you have to change it a little bit so it doesn't sound exactly, because
Like
he doesn't
mine.
want anybody else owning his stuff. I mean, I had the great pleasure of taking a road trip with my best friend to Paisley Park Studios. So that just added to.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, that was an amazing journey. And
Nice.
Part 2 has to happen real soon, but I would definitely, and I strongly suggest anybody out there to take the time, if you're a Prince fan, even if you just want to know a bit more about Prince, make that trip to Paisley Park. It is
Nice.
definitely worth it.
Nice. That thing with the masters, he has a story. I don't know if you guys ever heard it with Nas. And Nas approached him, and Nas was like, they asked Nas, has anybody ever turned you down? And he was like, yeah. He said, Prince. Prince said, do you own your masters? He said, no. He said, come back and talk to me when you do.
Yeah.
And he strolled off. And Nas said, I stood there like a nobody.
Well, the same thing actually happened with DMX.
Yeah, that's right.
DMX said the same story.
That's right.
Yeah. He said, you got to own your masters, then come back to me.
Right.
I mean, even with Alicia Keys, who had done a song that was very similar to one of his, he says, listen, I'd love to be a part of this, but you have to change that key unless you own your masters. So what does that say? Man is way, way ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Ahead of his time.
Pick number 1.
I think the craziest story I heard with him too was they interviewed Eric Clapton, right, who's renowned as like a guitarist, like the legendary guitarist, like one of the best ever, if not the best ever. And they asked him, they said, "Who do you think is the best guitarist ever?" And he said, he didn't even flinch. He said, "It's Prince." He's like, "Prince is better than me on the guitar." And the interview was like, "Yeah, right." He's like, "I'm not joking." He's like, "It's Prince." Like it's like we're not even in the same universe. And I'm like, wow. No. Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
But Chris had said something to me just recently about Rick James.
Oh yeah.
Keys, the keyboard, the underlying keys in some of the tracks for the 1981 album that Rick James had put out. That the keys, the sound was taken from Prince.
He stole his keyboard.
Literally.
That's the rivalry right there.
You know?
He stole his keyboard.
When you have a guy that was at the top of the game at that time taking your stuff, you know you're onto something. You know it's right.
Yeah, we're blessed. We're blessed to have him around, man.
Yes.
Gotta make sure I put this in so we all can see.
Yeah, big and bold there, Cal. Full caps.
Just so I could see it.
Yes.
No problem.
Chris
problem. All right, so next up, the number 2 pick, it's DJ Keo. Who do you got?
I thought about this because we had the discussion before, it's about artistry, selling out tours, iconic stuff. So obviously I'm going with Michael Jackson. Like that goes without saying, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I thought about it is because number one, he would be a phenomenal lead singer for whatever group he's in. Like he's killing everybody else on the group. And 2, the tour would be bonkers. Like, first of all, the tour would be the most insane thing ever with the greatest stage show, whatever. So, like, that in itself right there earns the number 2 drop spot. I think also, like, vocal arrangement for the rest of the band, for the group, and, working with the producer to make sure that it sounds right. Like that, I think that's a no-brainer right there. So, I had to go with Michael Jackson. So, that's my number 2 pick.
I was hoping for a second you would pick somebody else to switch off to me. I wasn't even going to explain. I was going to be like, as soon as you know Michael Jackson, like Michael Jackson.
You're gonna leave that on the board? Like, come on, it's like Tom Brady. Like, you ain't gonna leave that. You can't do that. There's a documentary of Michael Jackson's career from the Jacksons to, and I think it ends at Off the Wall. I think Spike Lee either produced it or executive produced it. I implore anybody and everybody to watch that. Like that was an amazing documentary because there was one thing.
Yeah, it was good.
Sorry?
No, I saw that. I was really.
You saw that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love the way it was done.
So there was a part in it where I thought was fascinating, where it was like almost like his journal, like his diary, and he had a master plan of all the stuff he wanted to accomplish, like which included like dance step routines, which like just how to format his footwork. I gotta have the he was like, I have to have the best footwork, better than Fred Astaire and this and this and this, and he went down the whole list, and I was looking at it like, oh my god, like. Yeah. I don't know where it's at, but you can find it somewhere. But I remember looking at that and I was amazed because I'm like, playing basketball and stuff the most of my life, you always have that little structure. You didn't think it was that detailed for music, but it makes sense, right? Because he's that great. You want everything structured. So that's what they always tell you, to write things down, right? The goals that you want and everything, right? But I thought that was awesome. Like that was like the thing that stuck with me the most. And
it's the littlest detail. That's why, he's such an icon. He's worried about like, okay, what does the light look like on the stage where we're dancing in this area or whatever? Like, what's this song going to sound like if I have to perform it live? Like, he's worried about all these little things. Everybody else just records a song and go out there, and it sounds terrible when they do it live because they didn't even think about it. Are you going to be able to sing this as a single? Like, you don't even know. Like, he's thinking about all this stuff way in advance, and I think that's why, like, he's an icon right there.
Yeah, listen, I remember a quick story with Michael Jackson. When I just came to Canada as a little kid, I think he was the second concert I went to. My mom and my aunt and them dragged me to see the first concert. Little kid, they dragged me to see James Brown. And I remember being like, watching my mother like, holy smokes. As my mom and them, like they tore that arena up. And the second show we saw, we went to see the Jackson 5. And I remember that was the first time I saw the power that a human being could have. Because I remember to this day, they broke down the barricades and the Jacksons had to literally run for their lives.
Yeah.
There was like a stampede after them. And as a little kid watching that, I was like, imagine commanding that kind of power where all these people just want to touch you. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, I never got to that level, but you understand what I mean.
No, Michael Jackson is
Special, man.
He's and then they had this, then him and Prince had this little rivalry too, which I didn't learn until like when I was much olher. But I mean, that
they were going at it, man. They were going at it.
As you should.
Prince, Rick James, and Michael Jackson, they're all like, they had their thing. They're all going at each other.
Yeah.
Like,
I understand though. Alpha males, man.
Yeah.
3 alpha males, all of them special. You don't want to see that, especially with us, but you get it though when it happens. You know what I mean?
No, because it's all peaceful. It wasn't, they weren't shooting in the streets, but
exactly.
It made music better.
Some of it was peaceful because Prince wanted to whoop his ass one time.
Yeah, I saw this cartoon. Yeah, I forgot. It was like it's like security was telling a story about. I saw one was with Prince and one with as a James Brown, and they had like this little cartoon like animating the story.
Yes,
what happened when James Brown? These guys owed James Brown money or something like that. He didn't want to do the show. Yeah, it's nuts. Like if you can find it on YouTube, you have to watch the video.
Are you serious? Wow.
Yeah.
It breaks the whole story. I've seen that.
Story.
It's hilarious. It's amazing, actually. It's amazing, actually.
There's also one with Outkast, but Outkast was getting robbed. It's a crazy story.
There's one too with Prince and Rick James, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That one is legendary. Yeah, that one is legendary, and I think he stole Vanity. He stole Vanity from Prince right out of a concert.
Yeah.
He brought her on a date. As she went to use the bathroom. He was waiting for her when she came out the bathroom. He left out with Vanity. Rick James like, where's Vanity? And he found out and he lost his mind.
Also, Prince took Vanity.
Yeah.
Wow.
These guys are crazy.
That behind the scenes, that was like a Dave Chappelle skit times 1,000.
Oh my God!
I could only imagine.
He's stomping on the couch. He's kicking people. He's punching people in the head with this ring, UD ring. Like what's going on? It had to be nuts.
I can only imagine the stories.
Well,
the untold ones.
Yeah.
Those are the two obvious choices, obviously. So I guess I got the next pick, and I struggled with this, to be honest with you, because there's so many different directions to go here. And I thought about picking a producer first, just to set the stage. But then I'm like, I can't miss out on the talent, the top tier talent. By the time it gets back to me, I don't trust DJ Chris Nice or Shalli even. They might take my picks before I get to them. So, they always say like in life, things are complicated. Like, we make it more complicated than it seems. And then sometimes life is just easy, right? Mm-hmm. And I look at this artist here, when you combine classic songs and albums with movies, they've sold over 200 million records worldwide, 16 Billboard Awards, 14 World Music Awards. They're inducted into the Grammy, R&B, and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, as much as I want to go all these different directions, the choice is right on the shelf. It's easy. Like this is the easy choice right here. This is my franchise pick. They call her the voice for a reason. They call her the voice for a reason. So I'm gonna, raise my glass and welcome Whitney Houston to my team.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? It's Whitney Houston. I can't deny Whitney Houston, and it's gonna shape the rest of my draft for me because she's the headliner. She has to be the headliner.
That was my number one.
Sorry, pick somebody else. She's coming with this team right
Chris
there.
Taking blows already, man. First round blows, man.
Yeah, that was my number one.
They call her the voice for a reason. And just to go over some statistics really quick, like top selling R&B female artist of the 20th century, her 10-year run from 85 to 95, when you combine like the Whitney Houston album and then the Whitney album, you combine the classic singles off of both of those albums, you combine The Bodyguard, the fact that she's in The Bodyguard, you know what I mean? That sold 45 million albums worldwide. You include Waiting to Exhale. I mean, honestly, it's probably like top 5 accomplishments for any artist in any genre. Like you can't, like that 10-year run is like it's second to nobody. You know what I mean? Anybody else wanna add to their opinions? You want to say goodbye to her, Chris, before she hops in?
Yeah, I'll say goodbye to him first. Goodbye, Whitney, first.
Okay.
So that's gone.
Okay.
I always remember Whitney when she just came on the scene. One of my boys, shout out to the Benjis. One of my boys, he used to lose his mind every time she came on the TV. Every time, because he couldn't take his eyes off her teeth. It was too funny. He used to be like, "Look at her teeth! Oh my God, look at her teeth!" As he's drooling, he used to be like, "What's wrong with this guy?" Like we're like, listen to her voice, but he couldn't get over her face and her teeth. Like Whitney for me is a no-brainer because I mean she's the full package. She looked the way she looked. The voice was like the voice to me is absolutely amazing. When I think of Whitney even to this day, it leaves me in such a I get such a sad feeling sometimes. You know what I mean? Because it was like the perfect thing came around, but exited wrong.
Yeah.
Like the perfect thing came in and exited wrong. Everybody's got their favorite songs, but for me, every time I hear Shoop, and every time I hear Didn't We Almost Have It All? When I hear those 2 tracks for me, I'm like this woman she had the world like in her hands, like a couple of artists, but I'm not gonna name them now because somebody will probably teeth them. But anyway.
This is true.
But you know, it's like you have the world in your hands, and it's such a corrupted industry that it just most of them just end up dropping it. You almost can't help it. There's not a lot of artists that's that gifted and that blessed that lives to see like 70, 80. You know what I mean? And it's so sad because she had every single thing. I mean, beauty, voice that was unmatchable, you know what I mean? And you exit like that, you know? So even to this day, I still feel it in the chest when I hear those 2 tracks, especially, you know? Great pick, Calvin, you son of a...
And at the end of the day, it's like, yo, she's not a strong dancer, but I don't care. I don't need her to dance.
That didn't matter.
To the Grammys, man. You don't need anything else.
That's right.
Good point.
This is my ticket to castles all around the world, and having not 1 but 2 private jets, one for me and then one for you guys. So you know, whoever wants to travel, Keel, you want to go to Jamaica, you can use a plane. Shalli, you want to go with your girls to Paris? I got you. That's the woman that's taking me there. And I'm gonna have a yacht with just only yacht music. So it's Christopher Cross, nothing but yacht music. That's where I'm
sailing away. Like
that's it. This is who takes me here. I am so proud of myself right now. Whitney Houston, got it. Let's go. Shalli, who's your pick?
Okay, so first of all, I just wanted to say that y'all's picks are great, but I want to represent sort of a different opinion on things. Recently, Puff Daddy said that R&B is dead, and I disagree. Actually, there's so many artists and so many subgenres of R&B that it's like crazy to choose. I probably have 40 people here from different times and whatever. But I wanted to choose somebody that is not only an amazing talent, not only looks good on stage and can move, but also knows how to be in a group, knows how to be in a band, and can still command the full stage. And that person for me was Bruno Mars.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Great pick.
I
hate you for it, but great pick.
So I picked Bruno Mars also because I want the members of my supergroup to be versatile. And I think he is one of the, aside being one of the best vocalists, I feel, of our time, he is just very versatile in terms of genres And even though he has his own sound, he can still morph and move in different genres soulfully and still come out like himself. And he's an amazing command of the stage. So
I like that. I like
Great
that.
pick.
That's you know what? I'm a little surprised, but not even really when you think about it. Like, it's funny. Like, when he first came out, I wasn't a big fan of him, to be honest with you. Like, I used to see like his hair had like it was like always poofed up like a 1950s hairstyle. So I used to be like, this guy looks like Johnny Quest. I don't care about him. I don't care about him. Like, every time I saw him, I wanted to have like a root beer float. You know what I mean? But then I think Uptown Funk was the first one where I went like, huh, that's interesting. That's kind of nice. You know, but then it went super commercial, and then I was like, whatever. But then I watched the Super Bowl performance. And by the time that was done, I was like, okay, Bruno, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Bruno. Bruno, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then after that, when he came up with the 24K Magic, that album, and it was like the whole nod to like 80s and 90s R&B and New Jack Swing, I was like, all right, anytime he comes to Toronto, I'm going to a concert. I'm all in. I'm all in.
Agreed.
After that.
Yes.
Especially when you throw in the whole Silk Sonic project with Anderson.
Oh, I love.
Yeah, that's a great
awesome.
Yeah, that was different level stuff too. That was great.
Out of here.
Yeah. And his history has been in being in bands and groups. Even before we knew him, he was part of a band. And a lot of those guys are still with him to this day. So it shows how he knows how he can work with people, even though he can command the stage, he can Devo out and all that, but he can actually work with people in a band, and that's important.
Great pick. I love it.
Brutal
like I
bars.
said, I hate you for it, but it's a great great pick. Is it Bruno Bars on reason for a
Bruno
reason?
Bars.
Bruno Bars. Bruno got some bars or what?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mars.
Well, you had
gonna mock my
I thought you were making a statement right there. I was like, all right,
I
see you.
Because he got Mike Jacks as well, so that's why I'm thinking that.
Bruno Bars.
Drink, Calvin. You gotta sip. Don't guzzle it.
I'm starting the trend. Bruno Bars, man. That sounds working.
His next album is gonna be a rap album.
That's right.
Bruno Bars.
It's not a typo. It's not a typo.
Spitting hot fire right now. All right.
Like Dylon. All right. So for the last pick of the first round, we got Chris Nice, who's been waiting patiently. So
two's already gone. I'm not
along the way.
I knew that was gone, and then my Whitney is gone. That one hurt, but I have another one that. This is the best way I could express this artist. Some artists, I love singers. Like, I love singers. There's certain artists that when you go to their concert, you literally get goosebumps, right? But then there's some artists that's popular out there that they're not the best singers, in my opinion, but I give them mad props because they have the right team. So sometimes what happens if your voice isn't like an Aretha Franklin, you have the right team, you could still command power. And this artist, to me, I've been saying this about this artist for like 20 years. I've seen her live maybe 3 times. And to me, she's the epitome of if you don't have the best voice, have the best team. And that's Miss Mary J. Blige.
Okay.
I knew that's where you were going.
Crossing that off my list.
like no brainer, especially as a DJ. What she did to me when she came out the box, like with Uptown and stuff, as a DJ, you know how much parties she's helped me like bring to another level? Like back in the Kevin, like back in the 90s? Like, you know how much parties you were like, when I bring this Mary J. Blige into the mix, oh my God, and you watch the place just explode. She's phenomenal. And listen, I'm saying this, and Calvin knows about this story. I'm saying this, and she gave me one of the biggest snobs of my lifetime. She gave me one of the biggest snobs of my lifetime. Can I tell my story real quick?
Go ahead.
I get a call from, I don't know if you guys remember Master T back in the days.
Yeah, I remember.
So Master T,
music.
Yeah, Much Music. So Master T calls me. He's like, we're interviewing Mary. Do you want to meet her? I was like, hell yeah. He's like, okay, get down here, jump in my ride, take off. Did some mad shit on the highway to get down to Much Music. We get there. It was me and hopefully he remembers this, but it was me and Mastermind. Shout out to Mastermind.
I know Mastermind.
So me and Mastermind's chilling. He interviews her. Everything's great. You know, she finishes the interview. He says with her manager, I think it was her manager, but I know he was involved in it. We got 2 people here. Da, da, da. She said, okay, walked right past us, right out the exit door where our limo was waiting for her. I mean, and Mastermind stood there like, what just happened? And we laughed, but it was one of the coldest blow-offs. Now, this is even worse. When I was doing concerts with Live Nation, we did Mary J. Blige. I was there when the 18-wheelers showed up, but I had to leave, so I couldn't watch them construct the stage. So I came back that night. The stage was constructed, beautiful, everything. I was like, okay, I'm finally meeting Mary J. Blige. Because in between that, I saw her live before in Buffalo. One of the best concerts, actually. I saw her with Biggie, Puffy, nice. Sick in Buffalo. So 3rd time with Mary, I'm involved with this concert. I'm meeting Mary J. Blige, hands down. She didn't want to meet nobody. She did a concert. To this day, I never saw her. She came off. She flew in, went backstage, knocked out the show, out. And I stood there like, will I ever meet this chick? 3 times. And I've never met Mary J. Blige. But the first one and the 3rd one is the worst. Because the first one, she walked literally off my shoulder, didn't give me a drop for my radio, you know, at the time, nothing. And the 3rd time, I was one of the co-promoters. I mean,
she don't like you, Chris.
You know what I'm saying? It's like she knows about me or something, and just like, I don't want to meet that guy.
She didn't like you.
He's like, that guy, he can't come backstage.
Yeah.
So how are you gonna manage the supergroup if she's not gonna come to the rehearsals? She don't want to.
She's not gonna talk to you.
She's not even joining the group.
When you're of that level, you take the chance. Especially when Whitney was stolen from me. But anyways, let's move. Let's go.
I was gonna say, is she hearing this now, going like, oh God, I hope I get traded.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
I have a little Mary story too. I don't know whether it was a situation where she just didn't like interacting with the public or not, but there was a signing at a record store down Toronto. I guess it was probably HMV or whatever the case is. And my boy got invited to come down. So yeah, we're gonna meet Mary. He's like, yo, come with me. I'm like, great. So I grab my records. I'm like, yes, we get Mary to sign the records. We get down there, massive lineup.
Yeah, I remember those.
To meet with her. Finally get to meet with her. I pull up the records and the security guy just steps in and says, no, you're signing this. It was just a picture of her. She didn't even look up. Sign, go. It's like, wow, okay. Someone's having a bad day. To the side, but actually before we got to her, there was a woman standing there, and I didn't realize who it was until after I was chatting with the woman. She was so pleasant. It was actually Mary J. Blige's sister.
Wow.
Because she always rolls with her sister, so it may have been her that you saw previously. But her sister was mad cool, and then after we just got that little brush off. Granted, I know there was like hundreds of people. Heard that Mary had a headache. She had a headache that day, so she really didn't even want to be there. But contractual obligations had her have to do what she had to do. So I don't know whether maybe you're her headache, Chris. I don't know. I don't know.
I must have been in the area.
Yeah,
I must have been on Young Street or something around that time. Man. She was sensing it, like, oh my God, this nigga.
This guy again.
But you know what, Kevin? At the same time, and I don't mean to sound harsh, right? But at the same time, when you're in this game, you got to fake it.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying?
True.
You got to fake it, because my philosophy in life is 2 things. If I meet somebody, I don't know where this person's heading tomorrow. This person might be a nobody, but he might be a god tomorrow, which I've seen that story happen many times. So number one, you don't know where this person's going. Number 2, this person could be a radio DJ. And at the time, I was a radio DJ, and I that's when I had the Mixshow on BLK.
Yeah.
So when that person pisses you off, like another artist did to me one time, but we won't mention him, I tried to not play his track for about 2 years. I thought he was a prick. A prick. And when I finally met him, years after, and he tried to pull me aside to introduce one of his records to me. I think we were in Dallas at a music conference, and he couldn't remember me, of course. And I remember I was like, man, that, and I kept walking. So you always have to remember the people you look at as nobodies, you don't know who they are, and you don't know where they're going. So to me, once you come into this industry, you have to become an actor or an actress. Fake it. No matter what you're going to, smile. It's quick. And leave that person with a good feeling. So now, especially back in those days, when I get her track in the mail, I'm gonna be like, yes, I want to play this. Not I have to play this. You know what I mean? Because that same artist that I told you about, I ended up playing his records maybe 2-3 years later because I had no choice. He was so massive, I had to mess with him. But I tried to not play stuff for like a year or so. So to me, and Shalli, you understand what I'm saying, being an artist. You got to fake it, man. You know what I mean? You don't know who people are that you run into every day. Look at them as a possible blessing.
And we'll get the exclusive on who that artist is after the podcast.
Yeah, when this goes off,
off the air.
Gonna be dropping names.
I love these stories, man. Keep them coming.
So who do you prefer before we move on to the next round? Who do you prefer, Dark Mary or Happy Mary?
Me personally, I rather Happy Mary, and here's why. Because every time when I saw Mary live, when we did her, when I saw her live, I felt like apologizing to all women when that concert was done. I felt like I was trashed when that concert was done.
Yeah,
she basically took about 2 to 3 hours to me, my personal opinion, to shit on men. I remember sitting in the stands like, what did we do? You know what I mean? Almost every song started with, I remember I was dating this guy once and we were like, oh my God. You know what I mean? I felt shitty being a male that concert. So I rather Happy Mary, because after a while it's like, okay, like how much times has somebody broken off with you?
Pick better men, right?
Like
choose better men.
You got a point there. You got a point
do better.
There.
Do better. My Life Mary is my favorite because it's like it's part happy, part sad, miserable. Yeah, like it's a medium. It's not all miserable.
My favorite, my favorite Mary J album, man. That's my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
That thing's ridiculous.
I love What's the 411 and the remix one, but man, My Life. Oh man, that sends me to outer space.
Well, we were talking about Chucky Thompson, man. That was incredible because of that album.
Yeah,
it's so good.
So true.
Absolutely.
Hold on, before you move on, what's the track again with I can't remember it. Those pretty memories. I know.
I love you.
Oh, yeah, I love you.
I love you.
Right. When that song came out,
the Isaac Hayes sample.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez, when that song came out.
Oh yeah, that song hits me. It hits me in the feels every time I hear it. Like, I just remember what I was doing when that happened. Like,
yeah, ridiculous, man.
And then when they added Smith and Wesson to it, look, coming from Montreal, that was like that used to shut down the parties every time you played that remix. You played that song, it shut down the parties. Yeah,
the monsters she put out, I mean, to me it's a no-brainer. Is she my favorite vocal artist? No. But as far as like, coming from a DJ's aspect on it, coming from even a club goer, I mean, come on,
records, man. She got records.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, she got hits.
Hits like ridiculous, man.
For a long time.
Yeah.
No, we're getting all the guys' input. I was just about to ask Shalli what's her take on Mary as a female artist.
She's been one of my favorite artists. While people say she's not the best singer, her tone to me is everything. And when she first came out, I definitely think that she was doing a take on like almost like a hip hop Anita Baker, like just a really warm, like rich, lower tone. Like in terms of her fluidity as a vocalist, doing jazz, like actual jazz. She did like more like hip hop version of that, like a rough, raw sound of that. And I just always liked her. I just feel like she's herself. She's one of the most authentic people from early on. We're in a very fake industry, especially when she came out. So yeah, I think she's a great pick. She's one of those people too. She's a worker. She's shown that she can tour, that she can stand the test of time. that she can do like classic records, encouraging records, you know, sad records, happy records, like fast club records, slow R&B records, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like she, yeah, and she can perform for hours, like, you know what I mean? She's not gonna blow out after a few songs. So yeah, so she and, you know, just the fashion and like that's still to this day is like ridiculous. Like the young girls are struggling to keep up. So you know, I think she's she's good for the older crowd and the younger crowd. Yeah, like that's a solid pick. Like I had her and I had to cross it out.
I got you.
Yeah. Trust. You guys have some great stories that I was listening to. Entertaining.
I mean, honestly, you have to. If you've been in the game this long and you don't have these stories, you're doing it wrong.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Experience life.
Yeah. Even if they pretty much like almost spat in your face and walk past you and stuff, it's still a story, right?
Got a story.
And it's sitting there like, I want to be traded so bad.
Thank you for tuning in to this special series of the Ave Podcast, the R&B Fantasy Draft. Thank you for listening to round one. I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. You can watch it on the South Shore Ave YouTube channel. Watch it for yourself. And as always, you can check out the show on all platforms. I'll be updating the South Shore Ave website each and every Friday if you want to watch every episode in one spot. All right, so make sure you stay locked into the page and make sure you like, rate, review, and subscribe to the series as well as wherever you listen to my shows from South Shore Ave Radio. As promised, the R&B Fantasy Draft playlist is updated and available for you Spotify listeners right now. And it'll be updated each and every Saturday morning until the series is over starting next Saturday. So basically the day after the release of each round. It's hyperlinked in the description of the show notes for this episode and each round attached to it. So no need to ask, click on it and enjoy. All right. Thank you once again for tuning in. And for you NBA lovers, the annual NBA season previews of the Eastern and Western Conference will be up next week, with the Eastern Conference being up next Thursday. This season is about to be crazy. I'm just as excited about it as you are. All right, so stay tuned. Until next week, y'all. For Shalli, DJ Chris Nice, DJ Keo, and Wukup Productions, my name is Cal C, and you just tuned in to the Ave Podcast on South Shore Ave Radio. I'll see you next Friday. And for everybody listening in Canada and the U.S., have a great long weekend. Peace.